Hey Dylan.
What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to talk. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Always happy to talk running. So,
Yeah, man, I could talk about running for like way too long. How's your training going right now? Just a little
uh,
update.
it's all right. I mean, so last week I got COVID real bad, so I spent
Ooh,
most of my week
okay.
not running at all.
Mm,
I'm just getting mileage back up this week, aiming for like 120, 130. So,
okay. Okay. Yeah, so just
yeah,
a little stint in the training, but you're back at it now.
yeah. Trying to get back up to speed pretty quickly here. I'm hoping for a big season. So,
Yeah, what do you have like on the schedule right now? You have some races lined
uh,
up?
I mean, I'm not sure what I'm doing in between, but the big thing is I'm doing the Prague Marathon.
Okay.
In May.
Yeah.
So I'm fully in on the whole marathoning thing right now. So
Yeah, do you see yourself doing anything else or just kind of full marathon right now, just all in?
I mean, I'll probably hit a couple track races, try and lower the 5K, 10K PR. And I'm also going down to Florida for the USA 15K champs. But
Awesome. Yeah,
just
that's
some
sweet.
tune up type races, you
Tune
know.
up races. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you have any goals in mind for that 15K road championship or just kind of
Um, I mean, I want to be sub 45 for sure. Take a shot at like top 10 US.
mm-hmm.
Probably take like 44, 30 to 44 low, which sounds a little daunting as I say it, but
I
just
think it's
gotta,
definitely in your
just gotta,
wheelhouse.
just gotta trust that I'll get there, you know.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, just a little to give a little background. This is Dylan Gearinger. Did I say that last name right? Is it Gearinger or
Gearinger, very close.
Gearinger? Oh my gosh. Yeah, people have probably messed up before, right?
It happens.
um, Dylan Gearinger, he has some pretty impressive PRs. Really came around towards his time in Haverford. I had a D3 school as a collegiate athlete, running some pretty impressive times. 7:59 3K. I saw 14:13 5K. You ran a 30:17 10K. And of course, recently the 2:14 in the Philly Marathon just last uh, November,
Yep.
which was super impressive. I was there to see it. And I just remember seeing a Philly Runner Track Club uniform and in second, was it? Did you get second overall?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
Led
like,
me a
I
little
was,
wild, but
yeah, I was amazed. I was not expecting that. It was incredible. Yeah. Wasn't it it was a top 10 American time for record eligible courses, which is crazy. I mean, I can imagine you probably had people reaching out to you after that race, or did you? Or
yeah, I talked to some pro clubs. It was really cool. It was a very cool experience.
yeah, talk me through that race. What did it look like for you from the start to the finish?
Yeah, so I mean, race morning, I came in and the goal was just we were pretty sure when the Olympic trial standards were going to come out that it was going to be sub 218. So my goal coming into the race was let's try and run sub 218.
Mm,
And I sort of put myself in a pack for that and came through 10K, averaging like 512 pace. So probably closer to like a 217 average. And I just kind of felt good from there and made an aggressive move, like way too early in a marathon. Uh, Not going to pretend I'm an experienced marathoner. I did some stupid things in that race. Um, but yeah, made a big move there, and by the halfway mark, I'd kind of caught the lead pack and was on a pace that I was not expecting. I think I came through halfway, maybe a little bit over 66:30. Um, which some quick math at the time was like, okay, you're you're running quick here.
yeah, that's
Uh,
quick.
and honestly, my first thought was, oh man, if this doesn't work out, my coach is going to kill me because the game plan was like, okay, let's not come through any faster than 68:30. So yeah,
Wow.
and then sort of around mile 14, that's where I caught the leaders. And I knew I had a big decision to make because at some point I was like 300 meters back at them. So obviously, like I'm running faster than them at that point. So I've got to decide, am I going to go past them or am I going to stay with them? and sort of before I knew it, I was like kind of coasting past them. And at that point, only one guy went with me, the guy who eventually won. But we broke away pretty quickly. And I mean, it was surreal, like leading in Philly, like at home for me,
Mm-hmm.
and just like seeing all my friends alongside the course. And it didn't occur to me how fast I was running until I got to 30K. And I checked my watch. And at that point, obviously it didn't work out this way, but I was on 2:11:30 pace, despite a
Wow.
slow start.
Oh my
So like
gosh.
through even mile 21 or 22, I was averaging 5 flat for the marathon. And at that point, we hit this hill out in Manayunk, and I fell apart. And the guy that I was racing against surged and just broke my spirit. And it was a long, long last 3 miles that included a little bit of running above 6-minute pace. But I don't know. In a way, it was encouraging. I ran 2:14 despite exploding, so I know that there's more in the tank, I guess. I mean, Philly, it's not a terrible course, but it's not exactly flat.
No,
So
no, it's not a super fast course by any means. I
yeah,
mean,
so I feel
I
like
did
there's a lot of positive to take away as to like what my trajectory might be. So
certainly, yeah, I think like properly paced. I mean, it's all speculation, but like 212 maybe, like heck, I mean, maybe below
that's
that. I mean,
that's what we're hoping for.
yeah, is that like going into Prague is what's your goal like just time-wise, placement-wise?
Placing Prague is so up in the air. Sometimes their field is super deep. Sometimes it's a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to be competing towards the top end regardless. But if I'm running 212, 213, I think I could find myself anywhere from like 7th to like 20th. Honestly, in a
Mm,
race like this where I know I'm not going to win, I'm hoping I'm in like 20th. Like,
mm,
just give me more people to race with, race against. But I
mhm.
mean, my plan basically is to go out low fives, maybe 5:05 to start, 5:03s, and see what happens. Maybe come away with a 2:12 if everything goes well. But I want to be a little bit more savvy. Like, I felt very inexperienced in the marathon this first fall, which I was.
Mm.
And I think it's an event where being tactically smart probably pays off more than any other distance, just because there's so much that can go wrong. I mean,
Mhm.
you've done a marathon, so
Yeah, I kind of know the deal myself.
yeah, it can be brutal. It can be brutal. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn still. So
Yeah, I mean, so far your experience with the marathon is so high, you know? You haven't like really blown up bad. So, I mean, I guess you
yeah,
could call 6 minute mile for you blowing up to like to us, maybe that doesn't seem like blowing up, but I
it
mean,
certainly felt like I mean, I felt like it was a struggle to put the next foot in front of the other at that point.
yeah,
I was seeing black,
you
but
looked like you were hurting at the end, but I
oh yeah.
mean, when I saw the clock, I
I
was
passed
like,
out immediately after the finish line.
did you
So
really?
oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I mean, that's when you know you put it all in. Like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I have mad respect for how you race that. Like, I mean, was that your first marathon or no?
It was my first real marathon. So 6 weeks before Philly, I ran a marathon up in New
Mm,
York, the Mohawk Hudson Marathon, and I
okay.
went in just being like, "This is to learn the distance."
Mm,
And I went out in like 71. I closed in 69 and ran like a nice negative split 220 low, and just sort of like, but it wasn't ever like the goal of the training block. The goal was like
mhm.
use this marathon to springboard into Philly. So first
Yeah.
real marathon, I'll say.
Did you think that that race kind of was it a good thing that you just got that experience before Philly? Like, did you feel tired going into Philly or were you like fully recovered, kind of
No,
ready to go?
honestly, a week after Mohawk Hudson, and this is how I sort of know that it was like truly closer to workout than like an actual marathon. Like a week after Mohawk Hudson, I was putting together some like solid workouts again.
Mm,
So I mean, I think I hit 100 miles the week after the first marathon. So like I wasn't super beat up by it. And I
mhm,
think more than anything, what I valued about that experience was like I wasn't aware how hard it was to fuel like during a marathon moving at like a decent clip. Because I had like
mhm.
taken in gels and stuff before, but like sort of just during easy long runs, and it sits different when you're running quicker. That's for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a nightmare of a time grabbing water bottles. That's for sure. I'm not coordinated. So
Yeah, do you use like you use the water bottles? Like what kind of mix do you use? Do you use Morton or
no, I actually just did plain water in like the squirt top bottles. I just like filled them about halfway full and I taped goos to them and just, swigs of water and just the gels.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and it worked well enough. I had a little bit of like discomfort, but I don't feel like
Okay.
me falling apart was not me bonking. It was my legs being shot, which
Mm,
is a good
mm-hmm.
sign. Like, I feel like I fueled okay.
Mm. Going forward for Prague, would you consider doing another like marathon tune-up, or would you probably just do like you're gonna do the 15K and that'll be kind of your tune-up for it?
Yeah, I think that'll be my tune-up. We talked about it, but 4 marathons sort of in a 2-season block, like even if you're running
Mm-hmm.
2 of them at like call it 90%, that's a little bit risky, I think.
Mm,
And I'm obviously, and you're the same way, like we're starting marathoning young,
mm,
and you obviously want to have like a long running career, and I think you just have to be a little bit wary because the marathon can like just really beat you up. So I'm
mm.
definitely sticking with one this spring.
Yeah, that's probably the right decision to make.
Yeah.
Um, so like take me through one of your big weeks of training going into Philly. Like, when did you feel like you were just super fit? And yeah, what did that week look like for you? Just maybe day by day,
Yeah.
like
Um, there's a specific week in workout. Uh, if I like go off this screen so I can look at my Strava quick, will it keep recording for you?
yeah, I think it will.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Can you
doesn't stop.
can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you just
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Because 3 weeks from Philly, I actually hit 130 miles for the week, and I
Oh my
ended that week
gosh.
with probably my best workout ever. So obviously, in 130-mile a week, I was doing a lot of doubles,
Right.
and so like Monday, Tuesday, pretty classic doubles. I ended up with 17 and 19 for the day, and then Wednesday, I had a pretty good progression based workout. It was 10 miles easy, and this was a long run workout too.
Uh-huh.
10 miles easy, then 6 miles of steady. And I'm pretty sure I did that at about 540 pace. And
Okay.
then I went on a 5 mile progression, which I was really happy with, where I went 530, 520, 509, 508, not much for progression there. And then my last mile was a 447.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, okay, that's a pretty good sign. And I
Yeah.
felt good enough after that, where that was a 22-mile morning, and I still doubled
Yeah.
back later in the day for a 4 mile shakeout. So like a
Yeah.
pretty like casual 26-mile day in the middle of the week. Like that was a big confidence booster.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then I had 2 more pretty standard days. And then I actually had a light Saturday, just like a single 11-mile run. And then I
Mm,
had, I think, my best workout ever. My coach is a big fan of this one. I am too. It's a huge confidence booster for the marathon. It's a interval type session on the track where you're going 4 mile, 3 mile, 2 mile, 1 mile, 800.
mm.
And instead of having like a standard jog, we were doing float jog. So like my rest
Yeah.
intervals were 800s at like 245 to 250. So you're
Mm,
like learning to recover not at marathon pace, but like close-ish to marathon pace. And I opened that up with a 4 miler at 2015. So, a little bit over 5 minute pace.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
my 3 mile was 1446, 2 mile 937, 1 mile 436, and then I opened up on the 800 and I closed in 206. And for the whole thing, like a 12.5 mile workout, I averaged 5 flat. And at that point, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. Because like
Mm,
it was in the
mm,
context of a pretty big week too. And I've always gotten all of my confidence from sort of like the big numbers and being able to do good workouts without like sacrificing volume. Because I think like
mm,
most of my ability as a runner comes from sort of my ability to do volume. I don't consider myself especially like naturally talented. I was not special in high school. I think I can just run a lot of miles. And if you can run a lot
mm.
of miles without getting hurt, you can kind of get places, especially in the marathon. if that makes sense.
No, I think that's huge. Like for me this year, like I think one of my big goals is just not getting injured because
Yeah.
I keep getting injured every season, and like this last cross season was so disappointing for me. Like I wanted to be at least sub 25-30 for 8K, and like I was high 25s, and like I was just injured all season. And thankfully I had a 15:04 5K to like close off my
Yeah.
season, which I was
That's
happy
a
with. It
good
was like
one.
on the road, and I was like, I was not expecting that. It still doesn't feel quite real because my track PR was like 30 seconds slower from like
So
6 weeks.
definitely a big sub 15 push this season, I imagine, right?
Oh, I mean, no, not that fast, but I would like to, eventually run a sub 225 maybe within the next year. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm totally losing my train of thought right now. Yeah, but I think just staying healthy is big. I definitely agree with you there, especially with the marathon, because it's easy for things to take you out. But I mean, like
But
how
it's all about that lifetime mileage too. Like if you can
Mhm.
just, even if you're not putting together great seasons, if you're putting together seasons without injury, like that lifetime fitness, it really accumulates. And I think
Yeah,
that's the big thing. Like consistency is probably the best ability you can have in the sport. So
yeah, I agree. Take me back to, I heard you played football in high school.
where'd
I
you
mean,
hear
that's
that?
crazy to me. So I actually listened to D3 Glory Days and
Gotcha.
your
Gotcha. Yeah.
podcast. And that was when I was like, man, I gotta talk to this guy. This guy's crazy. And plus I saw you at Philly and I made the connection and I was like, oh, it's this guy. Um, but yeah, you played football. Like
Yeah.
that's and you said you had 7 concussions?
Yep. That's what got me into running.
Matt, what'd you play in football?
I was a receiver. I'm
Receiver.
too
Okay.
small to do anything else. I was quick. Like I had speed. Not like
Hmm.
at the time I didn't really have distance speed, but I was like I was quick. I had one of the faster like 40 times on my team even as a young guy.
Uh-huh.
But obviously I was just too small. Like I was taking bad hits and getting concussions like at a concerning at a concerning rate. But obviously it led me to all of this, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, how did that transition happen from, I mean, I guess you had so many concussions, you're like it's time to do something else, and you thought you
Well,
were
the,
good
the
at
doc
running.
the doctor told me it was time to do something else. He's like,
Yeah.
you can't keep doing this.
Uh-huh.
And I get bored so easily. Like I need to be doing stuff all the time or else I lose my mind.
Hmm.
So I like needed a fall sport. And I knew I was not gonna be any good at like soccer. Like that was just not my sort of thing. So like it seemed like cross country was kind of my option. And I'm not gonna lie, I hated it at first. It was miserable. But I
Cross
think
country is terrible.
everybody hates their first like season of running because when you come in out of distance shape, every run feels hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to pace myself at all. So like I was thinking I was a big shot. And like I remember my first ever workout was mile repeats. Then it was my second day of practice and they threw me into a 3 by mile. And I think my first one was like sub 6, but then my last one was like 8:20. Like, because I had no idea what I was doing. Like
Man,
I was just
they
thrown
probably
to the
didn't know what
dog.
you were doing either. Like, what is this
Yeah,
guy doing right now?
yeah. And they thought I was an idiot. I was an idiot. That's fine.
I mean, you're in
But
high
yeah,
school, man.
yeah. I was a high school sophomore who didn't know anything. But eventually, I think a lot of us get into running the same way. You like realize that you could be good at it, and then it becomes a
Mm.
lot more fun because it
Mm-hmm.
actually feels like
Mm-hmm.
you're training to like be something.
Mm.
And yeah, by my junior year, I was like, okay, I want to take this. I want to take this seriously. So
Yeah. Did you ever think that you could be good at running? Like even when I mean, I guess when you were playing football, you said you had one of the faster 40s. So like, did that kind of
yeah,
make you
but
think
distance running
maybe?
wasn't. Yeah, I didn't know anything about distance running though.
Right.
Because obviously it's a complete like I feel like everybody who's fast thinks they like assume like, oh, if I wanted to run a fast mile, I could, but like
Mm, mm,
they can't,
right. Yeah.
But I had no idea I'd be any good at distance run. Like even after high school, like when I was going into college, I was like, I want to be good at distance running. I don't know if I
Mm.
can be, but luckily I had a great college coach and he kind of helped me. Like he helped me get there. So
Yeah. How did your experience at Haverford kind of facilitate your growth into where you are now with your 214?
Yeah, I mean, I had my coach at Haverford, Tom Donnelly, is like a legend, like literally in the coaching Hall of Fame. And he always just like had belief in me. Like when I came in, I didn't think I was anything special. And like that was proven to me right away. I was like our conference meet during college, like the top 12 guys on your team can run. In my freshman year, I didn't even get to run at our conference meet. I was not top 12 on my own team. But like after that season, he like came up to me and he's like, I think you could be one of the best runners in the country in a couple of years. And I was like, I don't know why. And I was like, I don't know why you think that, but I hope you're right. And I mean, D3 wise, he ended up being right, which like still blew my mind. But he always just had this confidence in me that even like I did not have. I don't know what he saw or if he just said that to everybody, but when he got me to believe, like it definitely helps. Because he's the sort of guy too, like when you have a coach like that, when they tell you something, you just want to believe it because you're like, this guy has done everything. He's coached everybody. Like, I mean, he at one point was coaching the world record holder for the 1500. So like, who am I to say like this guy's wrong about anything? Like he knows more than I could ever possibly know.
Yeah.
And I credit him too for getting me into coaching. Like I saw what he did and I was like, this guy has the best job on earth. That's what I want to be. So yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, how did he kind of work with you slowly into where you are now? Kind of like, slow buildups and mileage and workouts and everything. Like how was that? Just
For
give me a little
sure.
bit of detail.
He actually preached this a lot where like he said that a lot of coaches in college operate under having a 1-year plan 4 different times while you're in college. And he said that he would never do that. It was 1 4-year plan instead of 4 1-year plans. So like the goal was always like, it was laid out to me like as early as freshman year. It was like, your goal is going to be try to hit 70 miles this year, 80 miles next year, 90 miles when you're a junior, and 100 miles when you're a senior. That was going to be my game plan. Like if you could hold on to that sort of mileage, you were going to be pretty darn good. And I ended up going a little bit ahead of that curve. I hit my first 100, I think during my sophomore year, and I was consistently in the hundreds before my junior year and like in the 110 range my senior year. But like, it was always just about progressively adding mileage. And honestly, in terms of workouts, like workouts never got more intense. It was more just, can you do the same intensity of workout while maintaining a much higher volume, which in a way makes the workouts feel more intense without ever actually, really hammering more intervals or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say that's reflected in like how you're training now? Like with you going like 100, you're doing 130 miles a week right now, or is that kind of roughly your range?
This will be my first like in the 130 of the season, but like during my last marathon build, like 125 to 130 was pretty common. And before I got COVID, my last 3 weeks before that were 120 to 125. So I'd say 120s consistently. I hit a 140 during my marathon build just because I like doing that sort of thing. I think it hardens you. But yeah, I'd say I train with the same philosophy. Like not many of my workouts on paper are like something where you'd be like, oh, this is a guy who can run 214. Like I think the one exception to that was probably the one we just talked about at the end of the 130-mile week. But most of what I did, it wasn't that special. It was more just about I put in 2 good workouts a week while doing a lot of mileage, and while nothing was flashy, like that adds up. I don't think training needs to be flashy to be good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I made my own training plan for this upcoming track season, and I looked back on it like yesterday, after reading some literature and like rethinking things, and I was like, these workouts are so complicated. Like if you can't remember your workout like on the track, there's a problem. And like definitely some of the workouts I wrote, I would have to look at a piece of paper and write everything down on it.
And you wrote it yourself too.
And I wrote it myself. And it's funny because I wrote a training plan for someone from my high school who went to my high school. He wants to improve his 800. And it was so simple and it made so much sense. And I looked at mine, I was like, I made a better plan for him than me. Like I'm doing things differently for me than I am for my athlete.
Yeah.
And it's like this.
And honestly, like this is nothing against you. This is just sort of my general rule. This is why like I was coaching myself until this past fall and I
Mm,
had to stop. I realized when I was coaching myself, I couldn't be objective. And
mm,
I realized the same thing. Like I coach a lot of people and I wasn't giving myself the same sort of stuff I was giving any of them. And I was like, that might be a problem. I don't think I can look at myself as just another athlete. Like it works for some people. It did not work for me.
mm.
Um, so yeah, like I quit coaching. I fired myself.
Fired yourself. I mean, I would say
Yeah.
you're a pretty great coach. I mean, tell me a little bit about your coaching actually. Like how many athletes do you have? You said you have a lot.
Um, it fluctuates. A lot of them are high schoolers, which sort of dip in and out based on the season, but I'm consistently sending out training plans right now to about 25 people.
Okay.
Um, a lot of high schoolers, which high schoolers are tough to coach, man. They are needy. Um, I love them. I love
And
them. I
stubborn
really do.
too. And stubborn
Oh,
too.
oh yeah, because a lot of them, and I was the same way. They think they know. They think they know everything, and
Mm,
they don't.
mm. Yeah.
Um, and you're like trying to teach. You're not just trying to coach them. You're trying to teach them, and it like takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm always trying to expand. Like I need to do more like actual advertising of my coaching. I'm not good at putting myself out there. Um, because I'm like trying to make this like my whole living,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
whole running and coaching thing. So I need to like learn to actually advocate for myself. But yeah, big roster. I have a lot of fun with it. Um, and we've had good success. I mean, this last cross country season alone, we had a handful of state medalists. I should know the number off the top of my head. A bunch of state qualifiers, and I actually I was the head coach of a high school cross country team, and we won districts on both the boys and the girls side for the first time in school history.
Oh, what team was it?
So, Holy Redeemer.
Wow, that's very
Um,
impressive.
yeah, we're nestled up in the Wilkes-Barre area, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good season. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, how did it feel to facilitate like such a victory for this high school team that you were coaching? I mean, that had to be pretty great.
It was one of the more rewarding days of my life. I mean, running is great, and like that feeling of when you set a PR,
Yeah.
like it's so cool coaching wise because you don't even have to run it. Like you feel that sort of elation even when like
Mm,
your athlete's
mm,
PR, and you can have that like 10 times in one day if
mm,
it's like a good meet for your guys. So just like winning that high school district championship, and we weren't projected to win on either side. Like coming in at like we had just lost the conference championship to the team that was supposed to win at districts. Like we had faced them a week earlier on the exact same course and
mm.
lost by 4 points. And we beat them by 13 at districts, and that was huge.
Ooh.
And then on the girls' side, we like the meet finished, and like I had scored everything by hand, and I had us losing by 1 point. But it turned out that there was two different runners in the top 7 that didn't have full teams, so they didn't factor into scoring, and we ended up winning by 1 point after thinking we had lost. And it was just the
Mm.
craziest roller coaster ever to
Yeah.
like being just so defeated that we had lost by 1 point to like we just won the district title by 1 point. It was amazing.
Makes the high even better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, what did it look like coaching a high school team? I mean, were you an assistant coach or were you the head coach or
I was the head coach. Yep.
okay. Yeah, what did that like experience? What was that experience like for you? Would you go to practice and kind of obviously I guess you're head coach, so you would go to the practices and be with them and like I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, first off, like I was really grateful because the reason I actually got the job was their head coach left, like he had retired, and I was already coaching two of the guys on the team privately. And like they reached out to the athletic director themselves and were like, you should hire this guy
Hmm.
because I already coached them and they wanted me to keep coaching them. And if it was official, that'd be even better. And then like they reached out to me and like hired me. And it was just kind of a magical first season. It's definitely different adjusting from coaching individuals to coaching a full team.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it was just so much fun. Like I got to run with the team a lot, which I really enjoyed. I think they really enjoyed it too, especially like after the Philadelphia Marathon and like the whole top 10 US thing. Like they love to be like, oh, like we're running with a 214 there. Like that part was fun.
Man, I would be saying that all the
To
time.
them, I'm just like another guy to them. Like I'm just their coach who shows up in practice every day. So it's like this weird dynamic. But yeah, it was a great experience. I want to keep coaching at the high school level. I think it's a fantastic and rewarding experience. So
Yeah. What are some like the main difficulties you face, coaching a high school team? I feel like as an aspiring coach myself, who maybe wants to coach a high school team someday too, it does seem a little daunting, like taking on so many athletes and being able to, both personalize to like people, but also make it more general so it can be applied to all different groups of different paces and ability levels. Like,
yeah,
how do you do that? I
you
mean, that.
you hit the nail on the head right there. I came in trying to be too individual. I tried to have there was I think 12 guys and 12 girls, or like right about there for our team, so like 24 people. And I came in off the bat thinking like, okay, there's going to be 24 individual training plans here, and like I realized very quickly that's just not possible. It really isn't. So I had to find that balance we were just talking about, and I got a lot better at it as the season went on, because I was also learning the athletes. Like I think your first year of high school coaching is tough or like coaching any team, because not only are you trying to write training plans for these people, you don't know the people that you're writing training plans for. Like in high school, kids oftentimes don't have like a good training history. Like if you start coaching an adult, they can give you a good rundown and probably point you to a Strava where they've done all their training and logging forever. But high school kids don't have that. You have to learn what works for them because they don't know what works for them yet. And then you have to find the best ways to incorporate what works for them and what's also going to work for the team as a whole. And like, I'm not going to lie, like there was definitely some workouts where I missed, like the workout was too hard for like the weather or something that day, but like I learned, and I think I became a better coach this season because of it. And I think going forward, like it's going to make me better. It's going to make my teams better. And I'm happy with that. I don't think you can't bat 1,000 as a coach. There's going to be misses, just like there is in running. Like if you go through a workout crushing, or if you go through a season crushing every workout, you probably weren't doing your workouts right. So I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's very interesting to hear. What kind of things did you do that you saw kind of the greatest benefits from your athletes, that you've coached, and both in high school and your other athletes, and think also on the other hand, things that just really didn't work well. Could be ideas that you think that worked well for you but don't for them, or what kind of was most beneficial, most kind of.
I think the biggest thing, and this is like even amplified at the high school level, is that most people don't have enough strength, because a lot of like college systems, and especially a lot of high school systems, are so speed focused. Like even during cross country, like I was looking around the league and I was seeing like, oh, this coach is having his athletes rip 200-meter repeats in July and August. And I was like, that's interesting. That's not how I would do it. And I think I just focus a lot, especially early season, on just like a ton of mile repeats, a ton of tempo work. And I didn't even realize this until like more recently, but I'm basically mimicking the Haverford system, but like on a more individualistic scale, like taking the workouts that I really enjoyed from that and incorporating a lot of those, and just like sort of building up strength, because that was really the focus of our whole program. Like obviously during track season, we hit plenty of intervals, but like the underlying thing was like high volume, low rest type workouts. And I find that really works for a lot of people. And I'd say in terms of like what I missed with is kind of thinking that works for everybody and being stubborn sometimes. Like I feel like as a coach, you have a tendency sometimes, and this is speaking like about me, but I assume it applies to other coaches, is like like sometimes you'll see the writing on the wall that like this part of the system doesn't work for this kid, but you're stubborn about it and you're like, it'll work eventually. And I think like I've been learning, but need to continue to learn to be more flexible. and like not be so married to what I like, because not every kid is going to like the same thing. Not every person's going to thrive in the same system. And you got to learn to tailor the system to the person and not try to tailor the person to the system.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of your favorite workouts you like to prescribe for your athletes or yourself? Or I guess you're not self-coached anymore, so maybe
Not
answer
self-coached
for
anymore.
your athletes first, and then maybe tell me what your favorite workout is for yourself.
I love mile repeats. Mile repeats with 200 jog is my favorite thing to give anybody. I think it's so versatile. Like, you're getting a short snippet of rest, probably 60 seconds, and you're just building this big aerobic base. I love mile repeats. And on the speed side of things, my favorite type of interval is 300s. I think you can sort of fake 200s whenever you need to, like no matter what's happening in a workout, but 300s can really get you and get the lactic going. And I think I just really like to prescribe 300s. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little mean, I like the 300s with 100 jog, and that really gets people
Those are hard.
That really gets people in their well, which I think is good for people sometimes.
Yeah.
In terms of me, I can tell you that I avoid tempos like the plague. I hate tempo work.
Really?
Like long uninterrupted stuff. I can't do it. I'm not focused like that. Like, I think what surprises a lot of people about me, if you like go through my Strava, you'll find like a lot of like 8 or 10 mile tempos where I do it entirely on the track. Like, I don't really do any work on the road. I don't like the road.
Everything you're saying right
uniform
now is
enough for me.
contradicting your marathon.
Oh, I know. I like
You don't like the
racing on
road, you don't like tempos.
but I don't think everybody needs to be on the road for long tempos to be a good marathoner. Like, I like the uniformity and like knowing exactly what pace I'm on. Like, if I'm prescribed an 8-mile tempo at 5 flat pace, I'm perfectly happy to go off and click 75s for 40 minutes. Like, that doesn't bother me. Like, some people that would bore them and they'd go crazy, but I'm not going to complain about that. The road is boring to me. And it stresses me out because I never know what pace I'm going.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hate tempos. I love mile repeats myself. I love 800 repeats. Really anything in the ballpark of like intervals of 800 to like love 800s, 1Ks, miles, even up to 2-mile intervals. Like, that's my sort of sweet spot.
2-mile intervals. I like 2-mile intervals. Those are nice.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah,
Like,
I find big benefit from
good
them.
3x2 mile. Like,
Oh,
3x2 mile is a pretty classic workout. And it's nice because you get through one rep and you've done 2 miles of work already, but you only have 2 intervals left. Like, that's fantastic. You can wrap your head around 3 reps of anything, I think. So
yeah. When you say you hate tempos, like, you mean on the road, but on the track you don't mind them, or you just hate them in general and they're just a little better on the track?
But they're bearable on the track.
They're bearable on the track. So would you say you like the monotony of just going around a circle?
I like the track a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so I live in a very hilly area. I don't live in Philly currently. I live outside of Scranton, in a place called Dunmore. And I like live at the top of this huge hill. Like, if I was to go that way, my first mile is 250 feet downhill. So I hardly ever go that way. I spend so much of my time running a quarter mile from my house at this little gravel track. And like, sometimes I'll just go out there and do like a 9-mile run where I'm doing like a half mile, like a quarter mile to the gravel track, however many laps, quarter mile back, and that's my run. And I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. And you get the soft surface. I mean,
exactly.
Even though recently I discovered that there actually is no evidence that soft surface prevents injury or has anything to do with it.
Sometimes it just feels nice though.
Yeah, I mean, also placebo, if you think it, you'll start ignoring your pain. Yeah, we have a gravel track, like we call it the oval. It's like 1 kilometer, and like I have friends who just go up there and do like circles around. I personally like hate that. Like,
it's 1K though. That's kind of nice.
It's very nice. Yeah, I mean, it's our go-to spot for workouts. Like, anytime we have Ks or anything like that, you just do the oval, and it's like, it's perfect. Yeah.
We've got this place probably 2 miles from where I'm at, where it's an Army Reserve facility. I don't know exactly what they do there or what that even means, but there's a track surface, like one, I guess it'd be like 2 lanes of track surface,
Hmm.
1K loop around the building. A
That's
1K loop of
cool.
track surface is pretty nice.
That's
Now, the
elite.
only issue is it's not entirely flat. You're getting like 20 feet per loop. But if you're
Okay.
doing like 1K repeats, like for like in prep for cross country, I think it could be perfect for that.
Man,
Not that I
that's
do
very
that sort of
cool.
thing, but
That's
yeah,
really interesting. I mean, wow. I've never thought of track surface on anything other than a 400-meter oval.
exactly. It's sort of life changing.
Yeah, I think there's a track in like Europe that's like very hilly. It's like a very strange like 1K. I think it's a 1K or like an 800 and it just has like undulation on it and it's the weirdest
That'd be
thing.
fun.
It's
That'd be fun.
bizarre. I think it would be fun, but like I wonder if they
I would
host
probably
events there
spend
and
way
stuff.
too much time on that, honestly.
I wonder if they host events on there. I mean, you could do
Oh, I'm
some like
sure they do. I'm
really
sure people love
weird.
that.
Yeah, my friends will be all over that. I got some hill geeks on my who live with me. They just love hills. I got a guy who just like that's what he lives for. I mean, it works
Do
out because we're
you
in
live with
Pittsburgh, so
do you live with all runners? Sorry, do you live with all runners?
yeah. I feel
Nice.
like that's a tendency of runners. You know, you just kind of band with
Yeah.
other runners, and
Well, you
I
need
got
those training partners.
yeah, right. I mean, I got 6, training partners just living with me. So, I
That's
mean,
really nice.
it is nice. I mean, yeah, we all run for the club, and like, yeah, we just like from day one we've been good friends. So, I mean, it's a little different this year because we used to go up in this one car together to meets, and now I have my own car here, so I have to drive. I drive like other kids up to the race who I like them too, but it's not like my like squad really. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's a struggle. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic. Let's see. I wrote a bunch of questions. I don't think I've asked any of these. I've just been like, living in the
Just
moment.
listen. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was gonna ask, what kind of do you have future plans? Are you gonna stick with, Philly Runner Track Club, or do you have, you know, a vision of the future, like 5 to 10 years down the line? What do you think about that?
So I mean, technically speaking, I'm not with Philly Runner Track Club right now.
Okay.
I am working on some stuff, which I won't go into now.
Yeah.
Um, hoping to be sponsored officially shortly here. Prague could help that fact. But I mean, obviously, the goal that I think every runner thinks about is like being fully sponsored.
Mm, mm.
I think the difference with me is I don't really want to be associated with like a specific pro club at this point. Mostly because I really like the freedom to live where I want to live. Like I want to move back to Philly like as soon as possible, I think.
Mm, mm.
Um, and obviously there's not going to be a pro club set up in Philly anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I also I just really like my coach and I want to stick with him.
Mm,
So
mm.
I'm looking for sort of a sponsorship that'll allow me a lot of freedom and to be where I want to be coached who I want to be coached by. But yeah, I'm staying all in on this thing, coaching, running, seeing if I can make money doing that, or at least enough to just keep doing what I'm doing, which is really all I need. I don't need money. I just want to run fast. So
Yeah, you just want to do what makes you happy, man.
exactly.
So take me through a day right now. I mean, are you coaching currently? I mean, you
Yeah.
are, right? You have athletes. Um, yeah, what does that look like with both, hitting some crazy mileages and, coaching?
The nice part about coaching is I can get training partners sort of whenever I want. I can just be
Mm.
like, I know you're running 10 miles today because I gave it to you. So let's meet up for that run. So like this morning, I ran 10 miles with one of the athletes that I've been coaching longer than anyone. He's a really promising he's a freshman in college, but he's not running for his team. Good miler. But yeah, ran with him this morning, came back, napped, key to high mileage. Went to practice with my high school team, ran ran with them, added a little bit extra on, came back, cooked dinner. I'm huge on cooking.
Oh, cool.
I have plenty of free time for that. And
Yeah.
then sort of my night is full of recovery stuff. I hop in the compression boots. I do my core exercises, my hip exercises, and then I go to sleep and we run it all back the next day.
So you dropped the bomb on the Normatec compression boots.
Those are the best invention ever.
Yeah,
I've
like
used
do
them
they?
every day since I've had them for like the last 3 years. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, worthwhile investment if you're using them like every
yeah,
day. I mean,
exactly.
do you
Keeps
notice?
me fresh.
Do you notice the benefits of it? Like,
I I definitely have felt like if I miss a day, I feel a little bit more lethargic on my run the next day. Like I
mm.
truly, it might be placebo. Like, and if that's the case, I'm okay with that too. Like if it's working, it's working.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it keeps me fresher at high mileage because I just
Mm,
think like obviously I feel pretty good most of the time doing what I'm doing, but I'm like
mm,
fully aware that I'm pretty close to that red line. So like I just am gonna do everything I can to like stay healthy because
mm, mm.
again, injuries are one of the most frustrating things you can have. Like I was miserable last week just being sick and having to miss 5 days for that. Like I
Yeah.
can't imagine being long term injured. I would just lose my mind. So
Yeah, I saw your caption. I was like, this guy's kind of down bad right now.
yeah.
I love your captions. They're just like the title is like the description, and like usually there's nothing in the actual description.
And most of the time they don't have anything to do with the run.
Yeah,
So,
I saw from I think it was yesterday. I read you said I have no idea what I'm doing and nobody can stop me. And
yeah.
I cracked up because like this guy's a 2:14 marathoner. Like he obviously knows what he's doing.
That's the thing though. I still don't know what I'm doing. And
Mm,
that title was sort of a reference to my coach being like, you shouldn't run Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And then after that run, I think I was at like 38 miles through 2 days. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is not good, but this is what I'm going to do. So
yeah. That's great. I mean, it sounds
but that
like
was that's one of the rare titles where it like actually means something. I have a note page in my phone just full of like nonsense sentences that I just like cut and paste from my Strava titles.
my friend does that too. I mean, his Strava's like they never make sense. Like it's just the words
They
that he
don't have
thought of
to.
during his run. And but you guys would get along then really well.
Good.
Going back to, your days, what your days look like these at this time around. It sounds like everything just kind of intertwines well with your running and your coaching because you get the athletes to like run with you. But yeah, do you like so you'll run easy like alone sometimes, but then will you go to, watch their workouts and everything? Like, will you go to
Oh
all your
yeah.
athletes' workouts?
Not all of them, just because they don't all live in the same general area. But like,
Mm,
I attend a lot of workouts,
mm,
and sometimes I'll like incorporate their like rest intervals into my easy run or something like that. Or sometimes I'm just standing there watching, which I try
mm,
to avoid this time of year just because it's so cold and
mm,
standing out in
mhm.
the cold is miserable. So I try to get some running done during that time. But
Yeah.
and like sometimes if it's a workout, like that's sort of the nice part too. Like I have athletes of all ability levels, and for some of them, like a good tempo or steady run might be 7 minute pace or high sixes, and I can comfortably do that for my easy pace.
Mm,
So not
mm,
only can I be getting my mileage in, but I can be actively helping them through their workout. Like I can pace
mhm.
them, and it's not like affecting my running, and then that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think coaching and running goes together pretty well. The one time it doesn't is like during meets. Like when you're coaching in a meet, it's so hard to think about mileage and so hard to get mileage in. And I don't think there's anything more exhausting than coaching in a meet. Like it feels way worse than running. Like
Mm,
I can
mm,
confirm that at this point. So like this weekend, I'm already stressing because on Saturday, I'm taking a bunch of my high school kids from Redeemer to a meet at Ocean Breeze in Staten Island. And
mm,
then
mhm.
on Sunday, I'm taking a bunch of my other athletes that aren't on Holy Redeemer to a meet at Susquehanna. So I've got a double meet weekend and I'm going to
Yeah.
have to get in 40 plus miles that weekend myself. And it's just like,
Oh man, where are you gonna get
it's gonna
that
be
in?
fun.
Just like
Yeah.
really early in the morning, just out there.
That's the thing though. I'm not an early morning guy. If you look
No?
through my Strava, you're going to find very few runs that start before like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it used to be worse. You can find some stuff in there where I was like doubling and it was like 2 p.m. and like 6 p.m. I don't
3 hours
recommend.
in between your runs.
Yeah, I don't recommend that, but I'm more structured now that I'm taking it more seriously. But
Right. Yeah, you have more time on hand to like do,
exactly.
structure your life around running rather than the other
Exactly.
way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have excuses now. If I don't run until the afternoon now, it's purely because I'm a lazy procrastinator, which I am. But that's on me.
You said you like to cook. What do you
Oh,
you
I
know,
love to cook.
tell me a little bit about
Italian
that. How
food,
much Italian food?
Italian food all the time. I cook so many different pasta dishes and so much pasta. Like at one point, I was keeping track of like how many pounds of pasta I cooked, and I want to say it was like a 3 month span last summer where I consumed like 32 pounds of pasta in 3 months, and
It's crazy.
yeah, it's like that's like half a pound of pasta like per day almost. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was absurd. Um, but that's what I like to do. I like to cook. I like to experiment. I bake a lot. It's fun stuff,
That's really
and
cool.
I feel like it goes nicely because like so for a lot of people, running is like that stress reliever. But sometimes when you're
Mm,
like taking it very seriously and you're like, oh, if I don't run well, then I probably don't have enough money to continue to like live this
mm,
lifestyle. Like it can actually
yeah.
be kind of stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So like cooking sort of has replaced running as being like my main stress relieving activity.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to think of running as like not being a stress reliever, like actually inducing stress. Just because like
it does sometimes though.
yeah, I
Like
mean I can
a bad
imagine like
workout sends me spiraling. Like
mm,
it shouldn't,
yeah,
but it does.
just one bad workout and you're like
Oh, I
down
freak
bad.
out.
Just
I freak out. That's another advantage to not coaching myself because when you coach yourself and you have a bad workout, then it's not only you as an athlete being like, "Man, you suck," but your coach is also like, "No, you do suck." Um,
like you made a
but
bad workout for yourself and you're bad.
yeah, but now I have a coach that'll just be like, "Nah, dude, chill. Like you had a good workout literally Tuesday. That was one of the best ones of your life. Like you didn't lose fitness in 3 days. Like that's not how this works." So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how many bad work or bad workouts, quote unquote, how many bad workouts did you have like during your Philly block? Like, would you
That was
say?
a that was a good seat. Like I only had one workout that was like off mark, I would say, for like a 4 month span, which
Wow.
does not usually happen for me. In
Mm,
college, I would say, I mean, you can look at my T-First page and be like, oh, this guy was all over the place in college. And I talked about that in the podcast a little bit. Like
mm-hmm.
sometimes I didn't have it at all. And like last season was the first one where I felt like everything sort of clicked the whole way. And maybe that was just like having a coach that was really dialing it in for me, or maybe it was just a string of good consistency. But I was really happy with it overall,
Yeah.
and it was also like sometimes like I had a tendency to just like have like weird things happen where I had to like miss days where I would just like get really sick for a couple days. But I went for the first time in as long as I can remember. I think I went like 4 or 5 straight months without missing a day of running, and
Mm,
that was pretty huge for me.
yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes like I can do the same thing, like get really worked up about like a bad workout. But in the grand scheme of things, like it just doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah. I mean, one bad workout is nothing. It's literally nothing. And I know that right now, but that doesn't stop me post bad workout from thinking it's the end of the world.
yeah, I mean, it starts getting concerning when it's like several in a row. Like, I
Yeah.
remember my sophomore year, I was actually like probably in the best shape I've ever been in. Uh, and I was running some good times. I ran like 9:29 2 mile, and it was like it felt way too easy. And it was like at the start of my season. And I remember first off, I sprained my ankle, or no, this is the order. So I got mono, but I didn't know it. So I did like 2 weeks of workouts where I had mono, and I was working out with some fast guys, like guy Nick Wolk, who runs for Pitt's team, like, or he did, and
Yeah,
he's very
I know.
fast.
I know of Nick. Yeah,
You know him? Yeah.
I know of him. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many do, but he's kind of a legend around here. But I was running with him, ripping workouts and like feeling good. And then I didn't know I had mono, and I just started like really falling apart in workouts, and it was painful. I mean, I was down astronomically to say the least. I was like, I don't know
That
what's
what made
going
you
on.
realize you had mono? Like,
I
do you
I
if you
started
weren't
to
a
have
runner,
that
you would
thought.
realize?
I started to have that thought around the third workout. We did the Michigan, like the classic,
Oh,
like
of course.
Michigan workout. I did the Michigan with mono, and it was like the worst workout of my life. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I think there's something wrong. So, and then I had a fever for like 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I think I have mono. So I got tested,
That's a good
came in, I
sign.
had mono. I start getting back into running. I twist my ankle really bad. I'm out for like 2 weeks. It was awful, but yeah. Anyway, I was down bad. I know how that feels to just be really down about it. Sometimes it's out of your control. It's just your body
Yeah.
doesn't want to do it. So
I mean, that's the thing with like when you get something like mono, there's literally nothing you could have done to like. It's not like you went out and got a stress fracture,
yeah,
like where it's like an overuse thing. Like mono is mono. Like if it gets you, that's just all there is to it.
yeah. It's one of those things you just like can get. And I mean, whatever.
And
I
that's
don't
got
even
to
know
be
how I
frustrating
got it.
too, because mono can hang around for like a long time, right? Like
Yeah,
it's sort of
it took
like
me out
it
for
could
like a
be a week,
month.
it could be a month. Like
Uh,
that would be upsetting. But
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but for 2 weeks, not knowing what was going on, why I was sucking so bad after like hitting these like pretty nice times for where I was at.
were you
Uh,
like a little bit relieved when you were like, oh, like this is what's wrong? It's not just that I'm
yeah.
like suddenly
Well,
bad at
right
running.
when I figured out, I texted Wolk and another partner, Nick Cardamone, actually. We were all
Oh
working
yeah,
together,
I
and
love Nick. He's a great guy.
he's great. I love him. And hey, shout out to Cardamone if he's watching this video. Uh, anyway, I messaged them right after I figured it out, and I was like, yeah, I had mono when we did the Michigan, just to like, just to like try to like because both of them were like, yikes, this kid's like dying. Like I remember like they did jog recoveries, and I had to just completely stop, and I was like panting. And I just had to text him it right when I don't know why, just like protect my pride or something. I feel like sometimes we just care way too much about like
Oh, for sure.
our running, and it becomes our identity. And like, so I texted them right away. I didn't I didn't want them to think I just had a bad workout, even though at the end of the day, who cares?
And the reality of it is they probably like, I mean, they were obviously going to be upset for you that you had mono, but they probably didn't think twice about you having a bad workout.
I don't think they did. No, I
Yeah.
think they could have cared less, honestly. They probably forgot about it a day later. They probably remembered again when I texted them. But yeah, it's quite funny. Um, yeah, speaking of debilitating things, did you ever have any like big injuries that you had to overcome, or anything else?
Injuries, not well, one, right at the beginning of COVID, I tore my labrum in my hip, and that was super annoying.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
because it was only partially torn, so they weren't going to do surgery, and they were like, technically, you could probably run on this, but it won't heal. And I tried to run for a little bit, and then it just like it was awful. So I was
mm,
like, okay, like it's COVID anyway. Like there were no meets on the horizon. Like you remember, like everything was gone. So
mm,
I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this 8 weeks off and try to actually heal up. But
mm,
luckily that
mm.
came at a time where it like wasn't super impactful. But besides that, I've been relatively lucky on the injury front. I had a freak non-weight bearing stress fracture my senior year of college. But that didn't put me out for very long. I think it was just like 4 or 5 weeks. Um, besides that, yeah, I've been lucky. I feel like high
Sounds like a
mileage
pretty
guys.
decent record.
I
Yeah.
feel like high mileage guys aren't often as lucky as I've
Mm.
been with injuries. So I mean, fingers crossed on that. Hopefully, I
That
haven't just cursed myself. But
that's just voices screaming do a marathon. Like I think
yeah,
that's the perfect distance for you then. Like if you can handle the high mileage and like you have a pretty low injury record, like I think
yeah.
that's
I
perfect.
mean, honestly, one of the reasons I started wanting to do the marathon is just like, I realized that my training didn't make much sense. Like, you can run 120 and 130 miles a week and do a 5K, but it's probably not the optimal way to do a 5K. So I was like, I'm going to do marathons to justify the mileage that I want to do, which I don't know if that, I don't think any coach would advise that that's how you choose, but that's what I did. So
did you, going into Philly, did you have any, did you done a half before or something, or did you kind of go straight to that full?
I still have never done like a legitimate half marathon. My half marathon PR is from a small race in Virginia that I've won twice, and I just do it because they have decent prize money, if I'm being honest. And my half marathon PR is slower pace wise than my full marathon PR currently. So
so you can just count your half PR as the 66,
the 66, 30,
30 or yeah. I mean, that's pretty great. Would you want to do a half? Or?
Oh yeah, I've got to get a fast half in this year. My coach wants me to target like 62:30, which sounds terrifying. But I mean, my current 68, or I think it's like 67:55, just isn't. It's not going to cut it. So.
Oh, you could definitely get that down. I mean, I personally really like the half. I think it's like a great distance.
It seems like a fun distance. Like, I feel like it'd be in my wheelhouse. It's just.
I think so.
Half marathon opportunities are like strangely hard to come by, I feel like. I want to do a good 10 miler too. Yeah. I'm thinking about doing Cherry Blossom this spring. I wanted to do Broad Street desperately, but it's the week before my marathon. So like, nah.
Man, I want to do that one too. It's on my graduation weekend. I might just skip graduation weekend.
Priorities,
right? No, Cherry Blossom's a good one. I've heard really good things about that race. Yeah, 10 milers are fun.
It might be the US 10 mile championship again. It was last year. I don't know about this year, but if it is, then I'm definitely doing it.
Yeah, you could probably get into the elite field.
That's what I'm hoping, because I really want to spend like this year sort of making a name for myself sort of on the US road circuit, because I mean, Philly doesn't get tons of attention as like a marathon because it's not like one of the big majors. And I just feel like for a branding and sponsorship purpose, like I need to be making like splashes at bigger races, or at least trying to.
So Prague's your first, or 15K road champs, and then Prague. Those are kind of that'll definitely get your name out there if you have good performances. I mean,
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, if I run fast if I don't run super fast at Prague, nobody will notice because it's not even in the country. But I think if I can run like 2:12 or 2:13 there, it should draw some attention. If I run another 2:14, I don't think it'll register for anybody. So.
I mean, you were on the top 10 list for record eligible courses this year as an American. So I think your name's kind of on there already, but I mean,
I don't think most people would know who I am. Like maybe in like the Philadelphia area, but like I think if you asked any of the other guys on that top 10 list, who's Dylan Gearinger, there's not a single chance they know who I
am. That's funny.
Like,
you might be right.
I don't deserve to be known by them, but I want to be. So.
Yes, that's the goal. Be known by the best. Was
Except for Galen Rupp. I don't want Galen Rupp to know who I am. I'm scared of him.
You're scared of Galen Rupp?
Oh yeah.
He's intimidating.
He's Galen Rupp. I mean,
he's Galen Rupp. He has no social media. He never says anything on there's no trace of him on the internet. He's just a beast, smashes all the races.
He's just built to run. He's a running machine. That's just what he is.
He runs scary too. He runs right up on your heels, even in the marathon.
He won't be on my heels, so.
Did you watch the Olympics marathon with Kipchoge and Galen
of course.
Did you see that encounter they had?
Yeah, and same thing happened in Rupp's first marathon when he was clipping Meb's heels at the trials.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's kind of known for that. You know, he's actually the reason. Well, I'm very vaguely. Do you remember the awful weather year at Boston where all the elite field dropped out basically with like the pouring rain and Yuki won?
I don't know that one specifically.
Okay. Well, Galen Rupp dropped out of that race
Uh-huh.
and thought he was in really good shape. So he went to Prague like 5 weeks later and ran his 206. That was like
Oh,
his
wow.
best marathon by a lot at the time. So I was like, if this course is good, is like Galen certified, which not many things are, like it's got to be good enough for me. It's got to be a fast course.
Mm.
So that's how I chose Prague.
A little incentive. Okay. All right. But did your coach also think like, hey, you should do this, or was that purely your decision to do Prague?
So originally I was going to do the Pittsburgh Marathon. But then he was kind of like, I don't know if that makes sense because the Pittsburgh Marathon is quite hilly, as I'm sure you would know.
Very.
So he was like, if you're going to do a marathon this spring, which I don't think you need to necessarily, like, I think it should be something like flatter and fast. So I was like putting out some feelers and there wasn't much just because like the big marathon in the spring is obviously Boston, and Boston is so, I mean, it's hilly. It's the weather's so hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
And I like just
Mm-hmm.
on a whim was like, I'm going to reach out to the Prague race director and see if they'll, have me. And they were nice enough to offer me a hotel, personalized bottles, elite entry. Like all I had to do was fly myself there. So I was like, can't pass up that opportunity. And we sort of locked that one in for the spring.
That's awesome. On the topic of famous athletes like Galen Rupp, do you have a favorite athlete?
Running or just in general?
Let's do running and in general. Let's do both.
Okay. My favorite runner who's currently like very big right now is Sarah Hall. I think Sarah Hall's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I love her style because I feel like I identify with it, which is that she just likes to race a ton and like go big. Like I respect that she's not afraid to race like 2 half marathons, a 20K and a marathon all in the same season. And she's like done the 2 marathons in the same season thing like 2 or 3 times now. And I just feel like not many like top end racers are like her.
Yeah.
Like so much of running now is like the sort of Bowerman approach where you see them like 2 or 3 times a season, like tops. And I like the runners who like put themselves out there. And I just think she's pretty awesome, and breaking an American record at 38 years old is a pretty baller thing to do.
That was an awesome race. That was fantastic. Sarah Hall is super
her
cool.
And Kira, like the Kira thing.
Kira's performance was incredible. Yeah, that was like, what?
37 and 38. It gives us hope that we can be runners for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to do with just all the running shoe technologies that are out now. I mean, everyone's running in the super shoes and like just recovering better, basically. I mean,
it keeps people around for longer.
Speaking of super shoes, what's your favorite racing shoe?
The Alphafly.
Alphafly? Yeah.
I'm an Alphafly dude.
Yeah.
They're nice. That's just really all there is to it. I know some people stick with the Vaporfly or the Next Percents over the Alphaflies. They don't work for them for whatever reason, but I do everything in my Alphafly. Like my system is actually, once I get a new pair of racing Alphaflies, my previous pair of racing Alphaflies becomes my workout Alphaflies. Like I work out exclusively in super shoes and super spikes just because you recover so much quicker.
Yeah.
And it allows me to stay fresher in between sessions and get in more consistent work and just like have more good sessions. So I know that's controversial to some people, but I'm a big believer in the tech. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's getting less and less controversial now as more and more companies come out with them. I mean, basically every like big company now has a super shoe that like is somewhat competitive with Nike. Like, I mean, frankly, Nike's probably still got the best super shoes, but I mean, I've heard the ASICS Mesfeed Sky is right up there with the Next Percent.
Like, I mean, they've got to be. The ASICS runners are crushing it. I mean, Sarah being one of them, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously Puma's doing something right because Molly's not having any problems. So yeah, I think everybody's really coming around. Yeah. Which is cool. I feel like for a while there, the pro landscape was really weird in that if you were signing with a non-Nike team, you were basically handicapping yourself in that you were running in lesser technology and like giving yourself even more of a disadvantage. And I'm glad that that's going away and
Yeah.
sort of athletes can sign with a situation that works best for them instead of just feeling like it's Nike or nothing. So
I agree. I'm glad that like the field's kind of level now. Like it was unfair for sure, and I agreed with those arguments. But now I think like everyone has a shot at winning with whatever
I
shoe
think
they wear.
people still need to catch up in the spike department. I think the Dragonfly is probably still pretty far ahead of a lot of companies.
Yeah.
But I'm sure within the next year that should be pretty leveled out as well.
Do you run in the Dragonflies?
I do, yeah.
Okay. What are your like easy day shoes? You gotta go to?
New Balance 1080s. I run exclusively in 1080s. I love them. They're nice and bouncy. I think my last like 12 or 13 pairs of shoes have been 1080s.
Man, I mean, you stick with what works for you.
Exactly.
Have you ever tried the ASICS Novablast?
I have not. I've actually never run in a pair of ASICS shoes, despite the whole Billy Runner.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if you've run in like ASICS shoes before, just because that's kind of their sponsor.
They never actually gave me any.
No, really?
No, there was a lot of. I wasn't like fully living in the city, and like supply was hard to come by with like everything going on with COVID, and I don't know. There was just a lot of cross wires, and like my 1080s were working for me, so I wasn't like trying to push anybody just because. I think as a runner, you're always afraid that like if you switch something that works, like you're gonna get hurt instantly, which probably isn't true. But like, why take the chance?
Yeah, I'm one of the dummies that like takes the chance. I'm just like a shoe nerd, so I like to try like everything. I think sometimes it backfires. Favorite? I think the Novablast are my favorite like shoe in general that I've run in. I really like the Saucony Endorphin Speeds for like workouts.
Okay.
They have the plate still, but it's like a little bit less rigid than like the Pro.
Gotcha.
Very good shoe. Yeah, but I would say Novablast are like I think they're really good for long runs and easy runs. They're just versatile, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of what I look for.
Have you ever tried? I put them on once. I've never gotten to run in them, but a lot of my friends are obsessed with them. Have you ever tried the Nike Invincibles? I've heard they feel amazing for running.
They are fantastic. I had them, but I have a foot issue and it was flaring it up, so I had to send them back. But I mean, thankfully, Nike is like really great with returns. Like, I have some friends or I guess acquaintances who would send back like next percents after a certain amount of mileage. I'm not gonna expose them.
I knew somebody who did the exact same thing.
I'm like, fair enough, I guess. Like, use the system, but at the same time, I was like, that's a little scummy, like just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But they're just like return them whenever.
They don't have that many miles in them. The next percents, like you can't go out and put a couple hundred miles in them. They lose their pop real quick. So that's a pretty smart one to game. I don't know if I agree with it morally, but
I mean, some of the things Nike does are not agreeable. So maybe it's fair. But anyway, I guess Sarah Hall is your favorite athlete. If you could just run with anyone in the world, who would it be? Doesn't have to be Sarah Hall.
Oh boy, that's big. If I could run with anybody.
Steal Insidious Mag's question.
Yeah. Oh man, that's big. So if it was a runner, I'd still probably go with Sarah Hall. I'd love to talk to her. And if I could get Ryan in on that too.
Ryan's fantastic.
Get two American record holders in the same run. I mean, how could I say no to that?
Yeah.
But if we're going anybody, man, I'm trying to think of like who I'm like the biggest fan of, even like outside of running. Because I was thinking like my favorite athlete outside of running is definitely like Joel Embiid. Big fan of the Sixers and
trust the process.
Yeah, and he's just, I mean, he's the funniest guy.
He's hilarious.
I'll go with him anyway. I don't know how much he could run. I feel like at that.
Let's just assume it's like a jog. Like it's easy for him too.
Yeah, I mean, he'll take one step to my 6 or whatever. But
yeah, seriously, he probably has like a 100 cadence.
Exactly. But
so he runs across the court.
I'll go with him.
All right. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so I'll just we'll just close it out here with some short little questions.
All right.
I'm just gonna give you two options, and you just have to say which one you prefer. Pretty simple.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Cool. I like this.
So, track or road?
Track. Easy.
Okay. Indoor or outdoor track?
Indoor.
Okay. Cross country or track?
Track. Cross country sucks.
Cross country's terrible. Split shorts or half tights?
Blitz. I've actually never worn half tights.
No?
Never. Not once.
Oh, you gotta try them.
No, they scare me.
They scare you. Why do they scare you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like being constricted in any way. Like,
Mhm.
I don't love, I mean, I wear tights during the winter because I hate being cold, but
Yeah.
like tights aren't comfy to me. I don't feel like I have full range of motion. I don't like the tight on my legs. So I don't think I'd be a half tights guy.
Okay. Honestly, it just makes me feel elite when I wear them. That's really the main reason I like them.
I feel like it always baffles me when marathoners wear half tights because I feel like half tights aren't made for the marathon.
Yeah.
Like when I think
Oh,
of half
yeah.
tights, I feel like you should be mile or lower. Like that's sort of what I associate it with.
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
If I was like a 400, 800 guy, I'd be wearing half tights. I'd also have legs that could actually fill them out at that point too, probably instead of being a stick figure. But
They wouldn't fill them out now.
no, I'm tiny.
Hey man, all us distance runners are. All right, running hat or no hat?
No hat, but during the winter, I'm always wearing a beanie. But I don't. I never wear like the caps.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you wear like a headband?
No.
Okay.
I just let all this bounce around.
All right. I think I know the answer to this one, but tempos or speed work?
Speed work.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Long runs or like workouts?
I love a good long run. I like the big numbers.
Okay. I don't know. I sometimes people say long runs are workouts, but I usually say them separate. I don't know.
Most of my long runs are just time on feet, so I wouldn't.
Uh-huh.
Most of my long runs are at easy pace, so I feel like I separate them.
Yeah, when you say easy pace, you mean like are they steady or are they just really actually easy?
No, like most of my long runs are probably like the exact same pace I would do for like a morning shakeout run.
Okay. Just to like allow like the recovery so you can hit the big workouts.
Yeah, because my typical schedule most times is like Tuesday's a good workout, Friday's a good workout, Sunday's a long run, and then it's just resetting the cycle. So if you're like really going to the well on Sunday, it's going to be hard to be ready for a good Tuesday workout. So a lot of it, and if it's going to be like a long run workout, it'll usually just be like, that'll be one of my sessions for the week. So it'll be like Wednesday was a workout, and then Saturday or Sunday would be like a long run workout. It wouldn't be like Tuesday, Friday, and then Sunday's also a hard long run. Like I don't really ever do more than 2 workouts a week.
My next question was gonna be, do you do in those weeks where you do a long run workout, do you do like a light session as a third session, or would you just do 2?
Usually no. Sometimes there will be like an intermediate day where like if I just did like if I had a Sunday workout and then I wasn't working out until Wednesday again, like sometimes Monday would be like 8 by 30-second hill sprint, but I don't really consider that a workout. It's more like glorified stride.
Yeah, just a little bit of like explosiveness drills.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But definitely never like 3 workouts with even one of them being light. I don't think I've ever really done that.
Okay. All right. Half marathon or marathon? I don't know.
I guess it's got to be marathon.
I guess it's got to be. You haven't done a half, I guess.
Yeah.
Smashing that kudos button on every Strava activity or only giving kudos to activities that catch your eye?
Oh, I am very I take a lot of flack for this actually. I don't give many kudos.
Oh man.
There are like people I'm really good friends with that I just like don't follow on Strava. I'm bad at following people on Strava. I don't look at it that often because it makes me anxious. Like I'm somebody who if I see somebody who I like know I'm going to race, like have a really good workout, like that stresses me out a little bit. Like I want to see my friends have good workouts and like give them kudos, but like I don't follow people that I have to like really race because I'll just stress myself out, you know?
I agree 100%. Like
I avoid it.
I don't like I don't follow most of the guys who run for Pitt's team because it just makes me sad, honestly. Like I just look at the words, I'm like, man, that's quick.
Yeah, cause even if you don't have the full context of their training, but you can see some
Right.
workout splits that are just like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like I can do that, and then you get in your own head about, or at least I do. I get in my own head, and I just don't need that. I think about running too much as it is.
Yeah, how much of a day would you say you think about running? I personally think about running too much.
It's too much. I mean, because like I'm doing my own running, I'm coaching, like I'm writing workout plans for people, and then like I'm like most of the people I follow on Twitter are runners. Most of the people I follow on Instagram are runners. Like even when I'm trying to get away from running, like my world has just been constructed around running. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's way too much. Like
So
I
when
say
you're
the only time
cooking,
I'm
you're
not is
not
when I'm
thinking about
cooking.
running. Yeah, I was about to say.
I cook and I listen to my podcast, which I
Yeah.
make sure are not about running, and that's when I don't get to think about running.
Well, what's the podcast?
A lot of them.
Okay.
Mostly about like I listen to a lot of podcasts about like different movies and stuff, and like really just a lot of random stuff. I feel like I like to still learn, even though I've like quit all forms of school. So I'm like, I feel like it's too easy. Like now that I'm just running, I don't want to be like illiterate because I feel like it'd be really easy for me to just like never learn again.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to stay in touch with everything, you know?
Trying to keep the brain sharp. I gotcha.
Exactly.
All right. Coaching individuals or a team?
Team. Nothing beats the team atmosphere.
So would you say to someone who wants to be a coach, maybe do a team first, or is that too overwhelming?
Well, you see, I don't think there's any right way to do it because sometimes coaching individuals and having success at the individual level will get you a team. Sometimes coaching a team and having the team doing well will get you your individuals. Like, I think if you have opportunities to coach and that's what you want to do, you take whatever opportunities come at you because it's all just accruing experience. Because I truly think the longer you coach, the more people you coach, the better you'll get at it because you can look at every athlete as somebody to make you better because you're learning more about the sport and about another athlete.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It sounds like they complement each other really well. Like, sounds like it almost benefits your running because you can learn things about what you've done for your athletes and apply it to yourself.
Before I stopped coaching myself, there was some times where I was like, I would assign a workout that was maybe a little bit outside the box, and like it would be received really well by the athletes, and they'd be like, "This was a lot of fun. I felt like it was very valuable." And then I'm like, "Okay, like I'm gonna have to try this workout on me because it seems to be a good confidence booster. It seemed to like work really well, like as a tune-up workout before a big race. Like everybody did well. Like now I can apply that in a certain way as like my tune-up workout." So yeah, I think you can use it to make yourself a better runner too, for sure.
Okay. All right, we got a few more and that's it.
Okay.
More conservative racing style or front running?
Oh, you gotta go for it. Let's go front running.
Full send. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my company's name is Front Run.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
How can I not say front running?
Sunday long runs or Saturday long runs?
Sunday, but really it's whatever's on the schedule, you know?
Okay. Okay. It changes. It's not always like Sunday.
Sometimes, yeah. I'm going to say Sunday actually, because usually if it's a Saturday long run, it means I have to do a workout during it. And
okay. Oh, right. Cause you'll do Wednesday, Saturday then.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let's call it Sunday long runs are more fun.
Okay. Sunday long runs. And then, training or racing?
Training. Racing's so stressful.
Really? So you would prefer just only training?
Yeah, honestly. I think that's something that's super appealing about the marathon to me. Because the training to racing load is like way skewed towards training because like realistically, obviously I did 2 marathons last cycle. But if you're like a true marathoner, you have 2 races per year that really matter to you, and that's sort of it. Whereas if you're like a track guy, you probably have multiple races per season that you would consider goal races. And that's just like, that's a little stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the process more than anything. And honestly, like, I don't race a lot purely because if I have a week that I have a race, that means I can't do 120 miles because I'm going to have to taper a little bit for the race. And as stupid as that sounds, like, I'd rather do the big number and not have to race than like have to alter my training to fit a race in.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think the less races puts more pressure on you though to perform, or do you?
Not really, because I have a tendency to take every race way too seriously. So like during my last cycle, I was arguably more anxious during that first marathon that didn't actually mean anything, that I was just using as a training run more or less, than I was before Philly. So really it's just about how many times am I going to be very stressed rather than will I be more stressed once as opposed to a little bit less stressed 3 times.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I think wouldn't matter how many races I would do. I would still be like equally nervous for all of them.
Yeah, because we put so much time into this that every time you step on the line, you feel like you need it to go well.
Yeah.
Regardless of like whether it's your turkey trot or if it's like 5K that you're going for the big PR.
Yeah, that's true. All right, that's it. You know, this has gone almost to an hour and a half, so I apologize for how long it was.
Honestly, I feel like it went by quickly.
I felt the same way. I'm glad you agree. But thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you, and you know, I hope we stay in contact.
Yeah, definitely keep in touch. Keep me updated on your training.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, good luck with your training for Prague. You know, you gotta, it's a ways away, so you got a lot of time to get real fit and rip a sub 212.
Sub 212, that's we'll see.
Yeah, do you you know, I guess here on your end to close out, do you have any advice for someone who you know, wants to take things to the next level with their running? And additionally, if you have anything for an aspiring coach, this is both of these apply to me.
Yeah, my main thing is just keep at it, stay consistent, do the little things. I think most people could I don't know your training specifically, but I think a general rule of thumb that would help a lot of people is like take the intensity off the workouts a little bit and just do consistently good workouts, and the razzle dazzle workouts they can be few and far between, and you can still have a great season. And as for coaching, I'd say this advice applies to me too. Just like put yourself out there, build your roster, and let your results speak for themselves. Like the more people that you make happy by helping achieve their goals, like it grows exponentially. Last December, I had 5 or 6 athletes and all of them had really good seasons. And then this December, I had 25 to 30 athletes because a lot of those athletes told their friends. I wasn't specifically recruiting people. It's just word of mouth. If you're doing a good job, people will tell you and people will come to you, and you just gotta focus on just helping every kid that you can, or helping every person that comes your way. All
right. I'm on a good start then. I got a couple athletes. So here we go. Well, thank you so much, Dylan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hope to talk to you again, man.
For sure.
All right. Peace.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. That was my chat with Dylan. Soon to be goated, I'm predicting. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Smash that like button, subscribe, and you know, tell a friend about the video. All right, cool. See you guys.